There's a quiet moment that happens every year. The calendar flips to a date that once meant something. Friends send messages, maybe a few calls come through, and somewhere deep inside, there's a voice whispering that this day should feel different, but it doesn't. You wake up, make coffee, go through the motions, and when someone asks what you're doing for your birthday, you smile softly and say, "Oh, nothing special. Just a normal day." And you mean it. But beneath those words lives an ocean of things you've never said out loud. She's 28 now. Her phone buzzes with birthday notifications, little digital confetti explosions that feel strangely distant. She reads them, types back quick thank yous with a smiley face, then sets the phone down and stares at her hands. There's no cake on the counter, no plans waiting, no anticipation humming in her chest. Just the familiar weight of another day that everyone else seems to think should matter more than it does to her. She tells herself it's because she's practical, mature, beyond the need for celebration. But late at night, when the messages stop coming, there's a small ache she can't quite name. This is the psychology of people who treat their birthday like a normal day, and it's rarely about the day itself. When you watch someone deliberately downplay their birthday, you're witnessing something profound. A carefully constructed fortress built stone by stone over years. It begins, often in childhood. Maybe there was a party once where few people came, and the empty chairs spoke louder than any present could. Maybe celebrations were chaotic, unpredictable, tinged with tension instead of joy, or perhaps attention itself felt dangerous, like standing under a spotlight that revealed too much, made you too visible, too vulnerable. So the mind learned a different strategy. If you expect nothing, you can't be disappointed. If you make yourself small on the day you're supposed to be big, you stay in control. Psychologists call this anticipatory protection. The nervous system, brilliant and self-preserving, scans the environment for potential pain and builds walls before the hurt can arrive. If birthdays have historically brought disappointment, rejection, or even just uncomfortable attention, the brain rewrites the narrative. It whispers that you're above such trivial celebrations, that you're low maintenance, easygoing, the person who doesn't need anything from anyone. But underneath that smooth surface, there's often a child still waiting to be chosen, to be remembered, to matter enough that someone would go out of their way without being asked. This pattern intertwines with something deeper, what attachment theory calls learned self-sufficiency. When early caregivers were inconsistent, distracted, or emotionally unavailable during important moments, children adapt by becoming their own source of comfort. They learn that needing something, expressing a want, or hoping for celebration is risky, so they stop hoping. They tell themselves it doesn't matter, and by adulthood, this becomes so automatic they genuinely believe birthdays are just ordinary days, even as a quiet grief settles in their chest each year. Watch closely, and you'll see the subtle tells. The person who changes the subject quickly when their birthday comes up in conversation. The one who works on their birthday, fills every hour with productivity, leaves no space for reflection or reception. They might even plan events for others, celebrate everyone else with enthusiasm, but when their own day arrives, they vanish into routine. There's a painful irony here. They've become so skilled at not needing that they've forgotten how to receive. And receiving, being celebrated, taking up space without apologizing for it, that requires a kind of vulnerability many people have spent their entire lives avoiding. The cost of this protection reveals itself slowly. Relationships stay at a certain depth because true intimacy requires letting people see what you need, what you hope for, what would make you feel loved. When you consistently minimize your own importance, you train the people around you to do the same. They learn not to make a fuss, not to push, to respect your stated preference for nothing special. But what if that preference is actually a test you don't realize you're administering? What if part of you is hoping someone will see through the casual dismissal and insist on celebrating you anyway? This creates a heartbreaking double bind. You push celebration away, but secretly long for someone to push back. You say it doesn't matter, while scanning for evidence that maybe, to someone, it does. And when people take you at your word, when they honor your request for normalcy, there's a tiny collapse inside, a confirmation of the belief you've carried for years that you're not worth the effort. You might recognize this in someone you love. They're always there for others, generous with attention and care, but somehow disappear when it's their turn. They deflect compliments, minimize achievements, laugh off gestures of affection, and on their birthday, they're ghost quiet, unavailable, busy with other things. What they're really doing is protecting themselves from the possibility of being disappointed, forgotten, or worse, celebrated in a way that feels performative rather than genuine. But here's the question worth sitting with. What are you actually afraid of? Is it the attention itself, or is it the risk that the attention won't come, or won't be enough, or won't touch the specific hunger you've been carrying? Is treating your birthday like a normal day really a preference, or is it a preemptive goodbye to hope? And what would it mean to let yourself want something out loud without the safety net of pretending you don't care? If these words are finding their way into the tender places inside you, pause here. Let yourself consider. When did you first learn that wanting celebration was dangerous? Who taught you that your needs were too much, too inconvenient, too burdensome? What would it feel like to let someone plan something for you without immediately minimizing it or feeling guilty? Can you remember a birthday that felt genuinely good? And if not, what does that absence tell you about what you've been carrying? What story have you been telling yourself about why you don't deserve a fuss? And is that story actually true, or is it just protecting you from an old wound? If you allowed yourself to be celebrated fully and without deflection, what fear would that bring up? And who in your life would actually show up for you if you gave them permission to try? Here's what you can do, gently, without force. Start small. Let one person know it's your birthday this year, not with expectations, just as information. Notice what happens in your body when you do. Practice receiving a compliment, a gesture, a kind word, without immediately deflecting or returning it. Say thank you and let it land. If you know someone who treats their birthday this way, reach out not with pressure but with presence. A simple message that says, "I'm thinking of you today, you matter to me." Sometimes that's all the opening a guarded heart needs. And if this year feels too hard, if the armor is still necessary, that's okay too. Healing doesn't follow a schedule, but maybe plant a seed, a tiny permission slip that says you're allowed to want to be celebrated, you're allowed to take up space, you're allowed to matter in ways that are visible and unambiguous. Your birthday is the anniversary of the day the world received you. And whether you've been told this or not, whether you believe it or not, that day mattered. You matter. Not because of what you produce or how convenient you make yourself or how little you ask for, but because you exist. And existence, your existence, is worth marking. Even if it's just you, sitting quietly with that truth. Even if it starts as a whisper. Even if it takes years to feel real. You don't have to earn the right to be celebrated. You already are enough exactly as you are on this day and every other.